Chosen one, something is happening right now that is not what it looks like. There is an emergency on the side of heaven, not the kind that means disaster. The kind that means heaven just shifted, and the movement is so massive, so precise, so specific to your name and your address, that the signal coming through cannot wait any longer. This is not a message about fear. This is a message about a mobilization that has your name written at the top of the order. You felt it before you heard it. You felt it in the way the last season suddenly became too tight, the way what used to fit you stopped fitting, the way you woke up some mornings with something pressing in your chest that had no clear name. You called it anxiety. You called it restlessness. Some of you called it the beginning of the end, and you carried that interpretation like a weight you could not put down, convinced that what you were feeling was a signal of collapse. What you were feeling was the beginning of the arrival. Chosen one, I need you to stay with what I am about to say, because I have seen too many people receive the greatest signal of their lives and mistake it for the worst moment of their lives. The urgency you have been carrying is not a warning that something is wrong. It is a notification that something enormous is in motion, and it is moving for you, not against you. The difference between those two directions is not small. It changes everything about how you respond to the next 30 days. This message is not coming at you, it is coming for you. The emergency God called is not evidence of your failure. It is the fingerprint of a divine orchestration that has been working beneath every surface you could see, rearranging what could not be rearranged by human hands, closing what needed to close so the right thing could open. It is the sound of heaven operating at a speed and a scale that the human eye registers as chaos and the spirit recognizes as precision. There is a reason this message found you today and not 6 months ago. There is a reason something in you stopped and said, "This one is for me." That recognition is not random. That pull is information. The spirit that drew you here is the same spirit coordinating the largest movement that has ever taken place on your behalf. But I need you to understand something about the nature of this particular season before anything else is said, because if you misread the emergency, you will run in the wrong direction. You will try to fix what is not broken. You will try to stop what was never meant to stop. You will interpret divine movement as divine abandonment, and that misreading will cost you the very momentum that was designed to carry you through. Let me tell you what an emergency in heaven looks like from the ground. It looks like pressure with no obvious source. It looks like doors closing that you did not expect to close, and other doors that refuse to close, no matter how hard the circumstances push against them. It looks like relationships ending without the ending making sense. It looks like provision arriving at the last possible moment, not the comfortable moment. It looks like sleep that will not come at 3 in the morning, and a silence in prayer that you have started to believe means you have been forgotten. That is not abandonment. That is the movement of something too large to be gentle as it repositions around you. When a river changes course, the banks that stood for decades are moved. The familiar gives way to the unfamiliar. From the perspective of one stone lying on the riverbed, the whole world has broken open. But from above, from the perspective that sees the full landscape, what is happening is a river finding the path it was always meant to find. You are not a stone being crushed, chosen one. You are the river, and what feels like disruption is the sound of you finally moving into the channel that was carved before you were born. If something in you recognized itself in what was just described, I want you to do something right now. Type the words, "The alarm is ringing," in the comment below. Not because of a rule, because this moment deserves a witness. Because when you name the thing you have been feeling, something in the signal gets clearer, and the clarity you carry into the rest of this message will serve you in ways you cannot calculate yet. Now, I need to show you something about why this emergency feels the way it does, because the confusion is not accidental, and neither is the timing. Here is what most messages like this never say. The specific kind of urgency you are feeling is reserved for a specific kind of person. Not everyone feels this. The majority of people around you are not waking up with this kind of pressing weight, this kind of holy pressure. The people who feel this are the ones who are close, not the ones who are far. The ones who never feel it are not being protected. They are not in range yet. You are in range. Consider what happens when a plane approaches a destination. The pressure changes, the altitude shifts. It can feel uncomfortable to those who do not understand what it means, but it is not a sign of danger. It is the signature of arrival. You have been feeling the pressure change, chosen one. You are not in danger. You are descending. Let me name the first of several things I want to diagnose today, because the emergency you have been living inside deserves more than comfort. It deserves precision. Comfort without accuracy is kindness that delays the breakthrough. I am not here to make this easier to endure. I am here to help you understand it clearly enough that you stop trying to endure it and start receiving it. There is a specific pattern I have watched operate in the lives of people who carry the kind of calling you carry. It is so consistent that after seeing it again and again, I have given it a name. I call it the pressure before the passage. It is a diagnostic category, not a metaphor, and recognizing it in your own life is the first step toward responding to this season the way it was designed to be responded to. Here is how it works. Every major transition in a chosen one, every major transition in that life, and I mean every single one, is preceded by a compression phase. Things get tighter before they get larger. Resources feel thinner before they multiply. The sense of inadequacy peaks right before the breakthrough capacity arrives. Relationships thin out before the ones that were meant for the next chapter appear. The old vision blurs before the new vision comes into focus with a clarity that will surprise you. This is not coincidence. This is pattern. The pattern is older than you are. The symptom sounds like this. You feel urgency in your body but paralysis in your actions. You know something has to change, but you cannot identify what to change. You pray and you feel the prayer going out, but you are not certain what is coming back. You look at where you are and it does not match what you know you are supposed to become. And the gap between where you are and where you know you are meant to be has never felt larger than it does right now. Does that sound familiar? Most people in that place tell themselves it means they are failing. They say the plan is not working. They say God has moved on. They say the calling was a misunderstanding. They say the door was never really open. They begin to build their life around the smaller version of themselves because the larger version feels too far away to keep believing in. And heaven watches that decision and grieves it because the door is not closed. The door is directly in front of them, and they have turned around because the hallway was dark. Here is the actual mechanism. The compression you are feeling is not evidence that the expansion has stopped. It is the mechanical precondition for it. Think of what happens in the natural world before birth. The womb compresses, the pressure builds. The very mechanism of emergence is pressure and narrowing, and what looks from the outside like a situation that cannot survive. But inside that compression, something is completing, something is becoming. The crisis is not the problem. The crisis is the process. What you have been calling your emergency is what heaven calls your contraction phase, and you are not in the early part of it. You have been in it long enough that the muscles of your faith have grown in ways that only this level of pressure produces. You are not weaker for what you have been through. You are more precisely shaped for what is ahead. The past years have not been years of loss. They have been years of compression, not failure in formation. Preparation in a form that formation requires. You are not behind. You are ready. That is the first diagnosis. Hold it. There is more to understand about what is happening, and the deeper we go, the clearer the signal becomes. Let me tell you about a man named Joseph. He was 17 years old when a dream arrived inside him that was too large for any room he was in to contain. It was specific. It was directional. It had the weight of something eternal on it, the kind of weight you recognize even when you are too young to have the words for it. And then everything went wrong. His brothers threw him in a pit and sold him. He arrived in Egypt as property, worked his way to position in a household, and then the lie of a woman sent him lower still, into a prison, into a place that every external measurement said was the end of the story. But here is what Joseph never knew while he was in the pit. Here is what he could not see from the bottom of the cistern. The pit was not the interruption to the dream. The pit was the path to it. Every degradation, every betrayal, every year in that prison was a compression that was shaping him for an authority he could not have handled at 17. The suffering was not punishment. The suffering was preparation at the kind of depth that only suffering can reach. And when Pharaoh had a dream that no one could interpret, there was only one person in Egypt who could do what the moment required. Not because Joseph was lucky, because he had been through exactly what the moment required him to have been through. Chosen one, the pit you have been in is not your final address. The assignment determines the preparation, and the larger the assignment, the more the preparation resembles a process you would not choose voluntarily, not because God is cruel, because what the assignment requires cannot be installed in comfort. It can only be forged. The second layer of what is operating in your emergency is this. What feels like resistance to your calling is actually the resistance training for it. There is a name for this layer. I call it the formation forge. Here is the symptom. The more clearly you can sense that something enormous is coming, the more your present circumstances seem to work against it. You can feel the assignment with one part of you and simultaneously feel surrounded by opposition from another. Your faith is expanding, but your bank account is not cooperating. Your sense of calling is sharpening, but the specific doors that should open for that calling are not moving. You pray for clarity and you receive more waiting. Most people interpret that dissonance as a contradiction. They say, if the calling is real, why does everything feel like opposition? And that question, that specific question, is how the enemy of your assignment has kept more chosen ones frozen than any other single weapon. Because here is what the question misses. Opposition and formation look identical from the inside. The same external pressure that an attack produces, a forge also produces. You cannot tell the difference by what it feels like. You can only tell the difference by where it is taking you. And where you are being taken, chosen one, is not down. The trajectory, even when the circumstances say otherwise, is up. The trajectory has been up the entire time. What you have interpreted as setbacks are altitude adjustments. What you have interpreted as closed doors are redirection at a speed your human schedule could not accommodate without feeling like a collision. If you are still listening to this message right now, if something in you would not let you close it even when the discomfort of recognition pressed hard against your chest, I want you to type something in the comments below. Type, I am in the forge. Because the ones who stay through that recognition, the ones who do not scroll away when the mirror gets too precise, those are the ones this message was sent for. Now, I want to hold something in front of you before we continue deeper into this diagnosis, because there is something I want to come back to near the end of this message. Something that has been discovered in research laboratories over the past several years, that most people who care about the things we have been discussing have never been told about. Not because it contradicts what is sacred, because it came from a direction most of us are not watching. A small group of scientists, led by a physician in New York, who has spent 2 decades studying this particular question, found something about the way the human mind is designed that explains something most spiritually sensitive people have felt but have never been able to fully name. Something about why the signal gets through so clearly in some seasons and feels completely blocked in others. I am going to return to what they found later in this message, but for now, hold this question. What if the fog that settles over a chosen one in their most critical seasons is not spiritual distance and not personal failure, but a specific condition that has a specific address and a specific solution? Hold that question. We will come back to it. Right now, I need to take you into the 3rd layer of what the emergency is revealing, because there is a root cause beneath the surface symptoms that almost no one names, and without naming it, every solution stays at management level instead of reaching transformation level. Here is what I have watched happen consistently. At a certain point in the formation process, usually at the moment when the assignment is closest to activation, something inside a chosen one begins to work against the very thing they are called to receive. It is not the enemy from outside. It is something older, something quieter, something that has been installed in them by years of disappointment, years of standing at the edge of the thing and watching it not materialize. I have given this mechanism a name too. I call it the receiver attrition. The symptom is precise. You know what you are supposed to receive. You can feel the reality of it. But something in the place where the receiving happens has been worn down, not all at once, but gradually, one disappointment at a time, until the mechanism itself is running at a fraction of what it was designed to run at. Think about what happens to a radio left in a humid environment for too long. The signal is not gone. The station is still broadcasting. But the receiver has degraded to a point where it cannot pick up the full frequency of what is being sent. The person holding that radio keeps turning up the volume, keeps wondering why the transmission is so faint. They try harder. They pray more. They do everything they know to do on the output side. But the problem is on the receiver side. That is the root cause beneath the urgency you have been feeling, chosen one. It is not that God has stopped speaking. The transmission has not weakened. The promise is not smaller than it was 5 years ago. The provision that was arranged for you before you were born has not moved. The receiver has been through too many storms to be working at the level this next chapter requires. And before I tell you what that means and what you do with it, I want you to recognize something. The fact that you can feel the gap between what is being broadcast and what you are receiving. The fact that you have this awareness that something is not landing the way it was supposed to land. That awareness itself is a sign. The receiver is not dead. It is diminished. And what is diminished can be restored. You are not too far gone. You are precisely positioned for what I am about to show you. I want to slow down here and make sure you fully understand what I just described, because the word diminished carries all the weight in this diagnosis. Diminished means the original capacity is still there. It has not been removed. No failure of yours deleted the spiritual hardware you were born with. What happened over years of formation, over seasons of standing and not yet seeing, is that the capacity for reception has been pressed down, not destroyed. Pressed. The Hebrew word for this kind of pressing is yatsar. It is the same word used when God forms the human being from the ground. The pressing is not punishment. The pressing is the act of shaping. What you have been experiencing as attrition of your receiving capacity is yatsar, the hand of the potter still at work, still shaping the specific interior architecture that the next chapter requires. You were not broken by the waiting. You were formed by it, not diminished, refined, not less, more precisely you than you have ever been. There is a line in the book of Malachi where God says, "I will send my messenger before the face of the one who is coming," before the face. Because the face that arrives at the fulfillment is not the same face that began the journey. The one who receives the promise has been formed into someone who can carry it. Chosen one, God has been forming your face. The face you are wearing right now, shaped by what you have been through, is exactly the face that the next chapter was always waiting for. The emergency is not signaling that you are too late. The emergency is signaling that the forming is done, that the face is ready, that the chapter is about to begin. But here is where I need to be precise with you, because this is where the message moves from diagnosis into something you can actually use. Understanding the pattern does not automatically fix the receiver. Knowing the name of the problem is the first step, not the last step. There are people who understand compression theology perfectly and are still sitting in the compression, still running at a fraction of their receiving capacity, not because they lack knowledge, but because knowledge alone does not restore the mechanism. And there are specific things, specific interventions, specific conditions that restore it. That is where we are going next. Before I show you what restores the receiver, I need to address something that might be alive in you right now. Maybe there is a part of you that heard the word diminished and immediately began to list the ways you contributed to that diminishment. The ways you should have prayed more, the ways you should have trusted more, the ways your fear or your doubt or your impatience made the situation worse. That voice in you, the one keeping score of where you fell short, I have heard it in virtually every person who has ever sat with me in a moment of honest conversation. It is not unique to you, and it is not accurate. I am not saying your choices have no consequence. I am saying that the diminishment of your receiving capacity was not primarily the result of your personal failures. It was the predictable outcome of a system, a combination of accumulated pressure and unprocessed pain, and the sheer weight of holding a large assignment in a body that was not designed to carry it indefinitely without restoration. You did not fail your way into this. You carried your way into this, and there is a difference. The skeptic in you might be saying, "This sounds good, but I have heard encouragement before and it faded by Tuesday." I want to honor that skepticism. It is not weakness. It is intelligence developed through repeated exposure to truth that did not hold. What I am about to show you is specific. It is not a framework for thinking better. It is not a mindset shift. It is a mechanism, a specific, functional, restorable mechanism. But first, the third breakthrough beat in this diagnosis. Because before any solution is useful, the full shape of the problem must be visible. Here is what I have observed, and I want to say this carefully. Many chosen ones, in the compression season, develop what I call the endurance substitution. The symptom is this. At some point in the long formation process, when the waiting has gone on longer than felt survivable, a person who was built for full reception begins to unconsciously substitute endurance for receptivity. Instead of asking what they are supposed to receive right now, they begin asking how to get through this. Instead of looking for the provision, they begin to conserve what little remains. Instead of expanding, they contract. And the contraction, which was a survival mechanism, begins to feel like wisdom. It is not wisdom. It is adaptation to a diminished state. And adaptation to a diminished state is the most subtle way that a formation season can become permanent. The old explanation for this is, I just need to press through, keep going, stay strong. But that explanation keeps the person in the endurance posture indefinitely. It does not restore the receiver. It just makes them more committed to operating on less than they were designed to receive. The actual mechanism here is something psychologists call adaptive compression. When the nervous system has been under prolonged stress without resolution, it downregulates its own capacity to receive. Not as a failure, as a protection. The system is trying to keep you alive, but in doing so, it locks you out of the very receptivity that the next chapter requires. Not X, Y, not your fault, and not your failure. A protection response that has outlived the threat it was responding to and now needs to be released. The return of agency is this. You do not have to will your way back to full receptivity. You do not have to convince your nervous system that it is safe through positive thinking or more determination. There is a mechanism in the human brain, documented at the level of Nobel Prize science, specifically designed to restore the synchronized, whole brain receiving state. That was your default in childhood before the world narrowed it down. I want you to hear the word childhood carefully, because it carries everything. You received with your whole being as a child. You did not calculate whether to believe. You did not protect yourself from the possibility that what was coming would disappoint. You were open in the literal neurological sense of that word. Two hemispheres working in synchronized concert, creating a state of receptivity that science now knows can be restored. If you have been listening to this message and something is expanding in you, something that feels like recognition of a larger truth than what you had words for before, I want you to type something in the comments right now. Type, "I receive what is mine." Because the posture you are moving into as this message unfolds is not passive. It is the posture of restored receiving. Now let me speak to the ones who are close to giving up. Not close to stopping the behaviors of faith, but close to releasing the interior certainty. The ones who still show up but are not sure they still believe in the showing up. Chosen one, what I am about to say is for you specifically. The distance you feel between you and the promise is not a measurement of spiritual reality, it is a measurement of receiver functionality. A radio does not tell you how strong the signal is. A radio tells you how well the radio is working. And if the radio is degraded, it will report silence even when the broadcast is at full volume. The silence you have been hearing in the place where the promise used to feel loud is not God pulling back. It is the instrument that needs restoration. There is one more thing I need to name before the solution, because there is a pattern of interference that operates specifically against chosen ones who are in the final stretch before their breakthrough, and most people have never been warned about it. I have seen this pattern so many times that I am going to speak about it directly, with specificity, because a warning given vaguely is a warning that does not help. When you are near the breakthrough that your formation season has been preparing you for, a particular pressure increases, not a general pressure, a targeted pressure. The interruptions to your clarity become more frequent. The community around you begins to offer practical alternatives to the thing you have been standing for. They say things that sound wise and feel like a narrowing. That is not coincidence. That is the signature of proximity to breakthrough. The resistance intensifies as the arrival approaches, not because you are losing, because you are winning. The question that matters right now is not whether you are still standing. You are still standing. You are here. The question is whether you arrive at the breakthrough with your receiver restored. Whether you walk through the door with the full capacity to receive what was arranged for you. Here is what I told you near the beginning of this message that I want to close the loop on. I asked you to hold a question about what was discovered in those research laboratories, about why some seasons feel blocked, not spiritually, but at a level that goes deeper than will, and deeper than prayer, and deeper than any amount of sincere effort. I said I would come back to it, and this is the moment. because what I am about to show you is going to connect everything you have felt in your own experience with something discovered in a laboratory. And when those two things connect inside you, something will come clear that nothing else has quite explained before. Here is what you now know that you did not know when this message began. You know that the emergency you have been feeling is not evidence of divine withdrawal. It is the signature of divine mobilization at a scale that produces pressure before it produces visible results. You know that the pressure before the passage is not a sign you are behind. It is the mechanical precondition of every significant breakthrough that has ever occurred in the life of a person carrying a real assignment. You know that the formation forge is not punishment. It is the specific process that shapes a human being into the precise instrument their next chapter requires. You know that the receiver attrition is real, that the distance between what is being broadcast and what you are receiving is not a spiritual measurement of your standing. It is a functional measurement of a mechanism that has been under prolonged pressure and is ready to be restored. You know that the endurance substitution is real, that surviving and receiving are not the same posture, and that the survival mode your system moved into was wise for what you were enduring, but is not equipped for what is about to arrive. The identity that holds all of this together is this: you are not someone who has fallen behind the calling. You are someone whose calling has been forming you from the inside, while the outside looked like delay. You are not a slow starter, you are a deep one. And the depth that has been pressed into you through the years of the forge is exactly the depth that the next chapter was built to require. That is what you now know. That is the why. That is the what. That is the who. And the chosen one who carries that knowing into the next 5 minutes of this message is not the same person who pressed play. You know what has been blocking you. The mechanism is visible now. The door is no longer invisible. What remains is the specific question of how to open it, and more precisely, how to open it without adding another layer of effort to a system that has already been stretched by effort. Because effort is not what restores a receiver. The receiver that was at its peak when you were a child was not at its peak because of what you were doing. It was at its peak because of what had not yet happened to it. The restoration does not require more of you. It requires the right mechanism applied at the right level. That mechanism is not more discipline. It is not more prayer in the sense of more output. It is not a mindset, and it is not a program, and it is not another thing you have to sustain through willpower that is already running at its edge. What restores the synchronized receiving state of the mind is a specific, documented, neurologically precise intervention. And what I am about to show you is going to land differently than anything you have encountered on this subject, because it comes not from the direction of spiritual advice, but from the direction of a laboratory, from a discovery that won the highest scientific recognition in the world. In 1981, a discovery was made in a laboratory that would win the Nobel Prize in physiology and medicine, not from a seminary, not from a church, from a research environment where the only currency is evidence. Dr. Roger Sperry, working with what are known as split brain patients, proved something that overturned the dominant assumption about how the human mind operates. The brain is not one unified instrument functioning as a single channel. It is two hemispheres, designed not to work in parallel isolation, but in synchronized concert. And that synchronized state, what researchers now call whole brain activation, is not a mystical concept. It is a measurable, documented neurological condition. It is the state in which the full creative, receptive, intuitive, problem-solving capacity of the human mind becomes available. And here is what stopped Dr. Sperry and his colleagues. When they studied children in the synchronized state, they found that 98% of children under the age of 5, are operating at what they classified as the creative genius level. Not some children, 98%, virtually all of them. The synchronized state is the default of childhood. And then they studied adults. Less than 1 in 1,000 adults maintain that synchronized state, not because of intellectual or spiritual failure, because the accumulated weight of chronic stress, social comparison, and unresolved emotional pain has progressively disrupted the synchronization between the hemispheres. The genius was not removed. The switch was turned off, and almost no one told you the switch existed. If you have felt that you used to be sharper than you are now, that something about your inner life in childhood had a brightness that has dimmed, that is not nostalgia, that is accurate self-observation. Something happened. And that something has a specific neurological name. I want to share something with you now, and I am going to ask you to listen to it as information, not as proof. Because proof comes from your own experience and what you are about to try. A woman from California described what it felt like before she found what I am about to describe. She had tried everything: prayer, journaling, meditation, every practice her community offered, and she kept arriving at the same experience. She believed the words. She could not feel the reality behind them, not in her body, not in the lived texture of her days. She said it felt like the broadcast was reaching her, but she was not able to hold it. After 10 days with what she found, something cleared. A channel that had been blocked was suddenly open. Not because she tried harder, because the receiver had been repaired. A man from Texas described something similar. Someone who had spent years holding things together for everyone around him, while his own interior life became thin and distant. He said prayer had started to feel like talking into a wall. The frequency was right, but the receiver was off. 2 weeks later, he woke up and described his mind as running on all cylinders again. The fog that had been so consistent, he had stopped registering it as fog, was gone. His clarity in decision-making returned. His sense of spiritual receptivity returned. Not from a different faith, from a restored instrument. That is because of what the team I am about to describe built. A group of neuroscientists, led by Dr. Daniel Barone, a neurologist practicing in New York City, spent years doing the following. They took over an hour of clinical neural sync technology, the kind of whole brain activation protocol used in specialized medical settings, and through an intensive process of compression and refinement, they turned it into an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence. 8 minutes a day, headphones, eyes closed. That is the entirety of the physical requirement. That is the whole protocol. They call it the Genius Switch. It is not a brainwave product. It is not a meditation app. It is not a sound frequency designed to put you in a particular mood. It is a targeted auditory sequence specifically engineered based on the Nobel Prize research of Dr. Roger Sperry to reconnect the two hemispheres and restore the whole brain activation that was the default state of your mind in childhood. To restore the receiver to the condition it was in before the world interrupted the synchronization. The Genius Switch is not for everyone. It is for the chosen one who understands that God prepared not only the promise, but the mind that must walk into it. The person who has been sincere for years, who has done the work, who has felt the call clearly and kept returning to it even when the evidence was not cooperating, and who is willing to stop treating the fog as a character flaw and start treating it as something that has a specific address. Most people who hear about this will move past it. They have accepted the reduced version of their receiving capacity as permanent. You are still here. That is not coincidence. That is the specific kind of persistence that belongs to the person this was built for. Now let me speak plainly about what this access looks like. The colleagues of Dr. Barone described what his research would be worth in a clinical setting. Sessions with neurofeedback equipment in a specialized practice run approximately $300 per hour. The home equipment that approximates what happens in that clinical setting costs upward of $7,000. The colleagues who reviewed his work said it would be incredible value at $500 for what he had built. It is not $500. It was not released at $200. It was not released at $100. It was released at $49, a price point Dr. Barone set specifically so that the people who most need restoration and can least afford the clinical alternative would have access. And today, on the specific page in the description below, it is available for $39, $10 below the list price. An additional reduction available only on that page. At $39, it comes with 4 bonuses. A guided visualization from one of the top-rated creators on the Calm platform, walking you through what your life looks like when it unfolds fully in the 4 areas that matter most. A grocery guide that identifies the 10 common foods most destructive to mental clarity, with 5 substitutions that save over $100 a month at Walmart, Costco, Target, and Whole Foods. A classic text on the principles of reception, over 100 years old and still the root of every significant teaching on this subject. And a beautifully designed 5 habits infographic built for printing and daily reference. And everything, the 8-minute sequence, the bonuses, every component, is backed by an unconditional 100% money-back guarantee. Listen once. Listen 80 times. If it does not do what it has done for over 18,000 people, every dollar is returned. No conditions, no questions that feel like obstacles. The provision God has already placed near you becomes visible in the synchronized state in a way it does not in the partial state. Not because the provision is new, because the receiver that can recognize it is restored. What has been arranged for you is already in motion. The question is whether you arrive at the meeting point with the receiver online. One thing worth naming directly: if you search on platforms like YouTube or Spotify for anything that sounds like what I have described, you will find tracks that carry similar names. The team of Dr. Barone studied them. Most had no neural sync technology embedded at all. They carried labels like this because the barrier to applying those labels is essentially zero. The mechanism is what makes the difference, and the mechanism only exists in what Dr. Barone and his team built through years of clinical refinement. The direct page in the description is the only verified source. If your spirit resonates with what has been described, the link in the description below and in the pinned comment points to where it was made available, not anywhere else. You can read everything on that page before making any decision. Every detail is laid out clearly. Number, what I am about to say is important, and I want you to hear it fully. The tool does not replace God. The tool does not replace what this season of formation has been building in you. It does not surrender for you. It does not close the doors that needed to close or open the ones that are about to open. What God is doing in you is not conditional on any instrument, but an instrument that restores the receiver gives what God is doing more of what it was designed to land in. The water coming from the source has not changed. The vessel that receives it is being restored to its full capacity. The deeper current of this message is where we return now, because there is something still to be spoken over your life before this message ends. For the chosen one who felt something stir when the mind was discussed a few moments ago, that door is still open in the description and in the pinned comment. It is a small step, but small steps taken from a restored mind have changed entire seasons, and the season you are entering deserves the full version of you arriving at its door. Chosen one, you have now been listening to this for long enough that I want to stop and acknowledge something. The people who are still here at this point, in a message like this, are not casual observers. They are the ones whose spirit recognized something specific in what was being said and refused to let go of it. If that is you, I want you to type something in the comments. Type, "I claim this now." Because the claiming posture, the decision to receive rather than to continue surviving, is not small. It is the posture this next chapter was designed to arrive into. Now I want to speak to the practical question that lives in the mind of every chosen one who has been through a long formation season. Not the spiritual question, not the theological question, but the entirely human question. The one that sounds like this. Okay, I hear everything you are saying. I feel it. I believe there is something to it. But what do I do with tomorrow morning? What do I do with the gap that still exists between where I am and where I know I am supposed to be? What do I do with the appointments that still have not materialized, the relationships that still have not restored, the provision that still has not arrived at the level the assignment requires? What do I do, specifically, in the space between the diagnosis and the fulfillment? This is the most important practical answer I can give you, and I want you to hold it. The space between the diagnosis and the fulfillment is not empty space. It is an active space. And the thing you do in that space determines whether you arrive at the breakthrough as the person the breakthrough was designed to meet, or as someone who was close but arrived too depleted to receive what was prepared. What you do in the active space is this. You stop treating the between time as a waiting room and start treating it as a preparation room. Those are not the same space. A waiting room is passive. A preparation room is active. In a waiting room, you count how long you have been there. In a preparation room, you ask what is being added to you while you are here. The distinction matters because the posture you carry into the breakthrough determines what you are able to receive when you arrive at it. There are chosen ones who arrived at the edge of their breakthrough, still in survival posture, still depleted. And because they arrived at it as survivors instead of receivers, they took the minimum of what was available, not the fullness. Not because the fullness was withheld, because they could only hold what they were in the shape to hold. Stop asking when. Start asking what. When keeps you locked to a timeline that is not yours to set? What keeps you engaged with the interior work that is yours to do? When creates anxiety? What creates agency? And agency, the sense that you are actively participating in your own formation, is what keeps the receiver from degrading further while heaven completes what it is completing. Here is the fourth breakthrough beat, and I want you to receive this one specifically. The symptom I want to name is the weight of unanswered prayer. You have prayed with sincerity, you have contended with faith, and there are specific things you have brought before God again and again that have not yet materialized. And the weight of that unrealized prayer has become, over time, a heaviness that sits beneath everything else you do. The common explanation is one of two things. Either God has a different plan, or your faith is insufficient. Both place the resolution in the past, in either a redirection you must accept or a failure you must overcome. Here is the actual mechanism. There is a difference between a prayer that has not been answered and a provision that has not yet been delivered. The answer has been dispatched. The provision has been released. What is pending is the arrival condition, including the condition of the receiver at the moment of delivery. Think about a specialized instrument ordered for surgery. The instrument is ready, but it is held in the sterile environment until the operating room meets the precise condition the procedure requires. You are the operating room. The preparation of your interior environment, including the restoration of your receiving capacity, is the final preparation before what is coming arrives. Not X, Y, not unanswered prayer, undelivered provision waiting on a receiver being restored to the specification the delivery requires. You are not being ignored. You are being calibrated. The agency I want to return to you is this. Participate in your own restoration, not as a self-improvement project, as a spiritual act. The work of becoming the receiver that what is coming needs you to be is not separate from faith. It is the practical expression of it. If something has been loosening in you through this message, something that felt like a grip beginning to release its hold, I want you to type in the comments. Type, I exit the waiting room, because the posture is different now. You are not waiting for something to happen. You are preparing to receive what is already on its way. Now, I want to walk you into something before this message closes. Picture a morning 6 months from now. You wake up before the alarm, before any obligation reaches you. There is something in your chest that is different from what you woke up to this morning. The weight that has been your background companion for so long you stopped calling it by name is not there. In its place is something quieter but stronger, a certainty that does not require external confirmation to sustain itself. You sit up. The room is the same room, but you are not the same person who was waking up into it 6 months earlier. Something has come online that was running at reduced capacity for longer than you fully realized, until you feel the contrast of it now. In this scene, you reach for the things that matter, the relationships, the calling, the provision, the creative capacity, and they are not out of reach. They are in range, not because the circumstances changed overnight, because the receiver changed, and with it, the way all of it lands and registers and becomes real in the texture of your daily experience. The version of you in that morning is not a fantasy. That version is the natural outcome of the receiver being restored. And the gap between the you of this morning and the you of that morning is the time between now and the moment the restoration begins. You carry the promise that was given before you were born into a mind recalibrated to receive it at the depth it was designed to land. Before this message closes, I want to do something. Place your hand on your chest if you are able, not as a ritual, as an act of presence, as a way of acknowledging that the thing being addressed right now is not in your mind. It is in the place where the signal arrives before it becomes a thought. Close your eyes for a moment if you are in a space where that is possible, and in the quiet of this moment, I want to invite your nervous system to release what it has been holding in protective mode. Notice if there is tension in your shoulders, a holding in your jaw, a tightness in the center of your chest. Just notice it. You do not need to release it manually. Awareness of it is the beginning of its release. The light that comes into a room does not need to fight the dark. It simply enters, and the dark gives way. Something is giving way right now, chosen one. The bracing is giving way. I am grateful, genuinely, specifically grateful for whoever you are on the other side of this, for the years you have stayed, for the nights you chose faith over fact when the facts were discouraging, for the mornings you showed up again even when the showing up felt like it was changing nothing. That endurance, that specific quality of perseverance that does not perform and does not announce itself and simply refuses to let go of what it knows, is among the rarest things in the human experience. I release from you now every false conclusion you have drawn about yourself in the long season, every interpretation of the delay as disqualification, every reading of the silence as abandonment, every moment you looked at what had not yet materialized and concluded it was evidence of your insufficiency. Those conclusions were understandable. They were not accurate. The forge was not a mistake. It was the specific environment, the specific calling required for the specific instrument the calling needed. You are the one who was chosen before the foundations. You are the one who the formation could not break. You are the one who the long season made more ready, not less ready. You are the one whose receiver is being restored at the exact moment the most important delivery of your life is approaching. You are the chosen one who stayed, and because you stayed, you will receive what was always yours. Type "I am the chosen one" in the comments if this message spoke to what your soul has been holding. The door in the description remains open for those whose spirit was stirred by what was said about the mind and the receiver. That is the last time it will be mentioned. It is done. It is already moving, and so it is. Now let me speak to the troubleshooting that many of you will face in the days after this message ends. There will be a moment when the feeling of this message fades and the familiar pressure returns. When the voice inside you says nothing has changed and you were right to be cautious about hope, that moment is not a refutation of what has been said here. It is the test of whether the shift went deep enough to hold when the surface waves return. The answer is not more emotional certainty. It is returning to the diagnosis. Return to the pressure before the passage. Pattern, not punishment. Return to the formation forge. It shapes what it does not destroy. Return to the understanding that what God has arranged is not waiting on better circumstances. It is waiting on a more fully open receiver. That participation looks like small choices made from grounded knowledge, rather than large heroic efforts made from desperation. Small, consistent, grounded. You were not built to receive at reduced capacity indefinitely. The reduction was not the design. The original capacity is still within you. That design is recoverable. You have been holding a weight that was never supposed to be permanent. Let it go now, not through force. Just by recognizing that the weight you have been managing was protection for a season that is ending, not a feature of the identity you are carrying into the next chapter. You are allowed to arrive at the breakthrough lighter than you have been traveling. You are allowed to receive what is coming with hands that are open rather than hands that are still braced from what they had to hold before. I speak this over you now, specifically because specific declarations accomplish what general ones cannot. I speak clarity over the area of your calling where the vision has been blurred longest. I speak restoration over the receiving capacity that the long season compressed. I speak release over the adaptive bracing that has kept you safe and can now give way to the fullness of what is arriving. I speak confirmation over the thing you have known about yourself that the evidence has not yet confirmed in the visible world. It is confirmed. It has been confirmed. The confirmation is not waiting for a more convenient season. It is here. You are the chosen one who the emergency was called for. The enormous thing moving on your behalf has already moved. You are inside the movement. And from the inside, it looks like pressure and disorientation and an urgency that has no clear name. From above, it looks like arrival.